Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So this will be my last video before my surgery tomorrow, and I want to give you a reading update. That's why I'm here. So I've read 2 books since my last update, and I am almost. I think I will finish this later today, probably. Yeah. So I have just gotten better from a cold. I still have a bit like a hoarse voice. Is that the word in English? Like Hoarse, right? Hoarse voice. Because we have such a dry environment inside our home. It's a bit better now and I can really feel it, but it does affect my mucous membranes in my nose that are very ragged. No, you know how you feel when you get better from a cold. Like everything feels just so overused or something like that. Like, yeah, and I'm dry. I'm so dry, like all over. But I feel so much better. So I'm gonna go outside in a little bit. It's late afternoon here, or well, mid-afternoon here, and I have some stuff to do today. I have done a lot of stuff in preparation for tomorrow, and I still have some things left to do. Among other things, take some trash out and that sort of thing. So I'm gonna do that, and I look forward to fresh air. I haven't had fresh air except for through the window today yet, so I'm looking forward to that. Otherwise, I'm almost set for tomorrow, and I have, as I said, read 2 books since I last gave you an update, and I'm on my 3rd for this month, and it's only the 5th of March. So I began the month by reading this one. I think I read it in like 2 days or 3 days. I think I started it the 27th of February and ended it on March 1st. So this was really, or maybe March 2nd, and this was really, I blew through the last half of it. Like the first 40% were not that great. So this is Ricochet by Krista and Becca Ritchie. It's the second book in the Addicted series that is, it's a series that has, I think it has like 6 or 7 books, and then there's also another series called the Calloway Sisters, and you're supposed to read them in a specific order, and the order is on the inside here, and I have actually photographed it because this is the one of the few books I still have from the library. So I photographed that to remember which order to read them. So I do want to continue reading this series. I gave this a 4-star, and so that you can imagine the first 40 pages was kind of slow. I was wondering, what am I doing? Am I really supposed to just... Because in the first 40% or something like that, we only follow one of the main characters. There are 2 main characters in this series, and we only follow one of them, and I was so bored because it's I think in the first book it was the dynamic between them that really made the book so great and made me want to read the rest of the series. It wasn't a 5-star, and this is not a 5-star, but the other 60% of the book really made up for it, and the ending was really good. So this is a 4-star for me. I'm not gonna talk too much about it because you kind of have to read the first one to know what I'm talking about. Otherwise, it's just being spoiled. Because I really think this is a good series so far, and I would encourage people to read it. So there are some like trigger warnings and content warnings for these books because they are about addiction. So they are about alcohol addiction, they are about sex addiction, and they are about there are some instances of self-harm, where an individual gets really like feel hopeless and don't think life is worth living, and not intentionally inflicting harm on themselves, but doing so by neglecting themselves, that sort of thing. And also by not by but during trying to get in control of their addiction, there are some ups and downs, and it can be interpreted as self-harm in some ways. And it's a very addicting story, and it's very interesting to follow. So for the first part of this book, I felt that like I was kind of done with, you know, the person talking about their addiction. But then when other people were more involved, and when the story got rolling a bit more, you know, and I don't know what the next book is gonna be about. I haven't looked it up, but I might prepare myself for that one. Maybe one of the books in the future is gonna be more about the other main character that was absent for the first chunk of this book. So, but we'll see. I don't know. What I do know is that my library doesn't have this available right now, which is fine. It's fine that it's not available right now, but the only copy or copies of the third book in the series, that is called Addicted for Now, is, I think it's in the main Stockholm library, or the storage of that library, and that library is undergoing renovations at the moment, which makes none of the books available until like late this fall. So like somewhere between September and November, I would probably guess more closer to November, maybe Christmas if we're lucky. So that's, I have to wait like 6 months, 7 months, 8 months for that, because I don't want to buy this series. I'm quite sure I don't want to buy this series. I did feel like I could, the second half of this made me realize I could read it again. But what I'm probably gonna do is that I'm probably gonna, if I wanna continue reading when the other book is available, I might borrow the first 3 books at the same time and then read them like that to catch up, and you know, to make my mind remember what's happened if I wanna. So maybe I will do that. Right now I don't feel like rereading them, but it kinda sparked, I was like, yeah, I might wanna reread this later, but for now, no. I wish the third one was available, but when it's not, I just have to deal with it. I have plenty of other series to get through, but that means I'm not gonna hold myself to finishing this series this year. No. So the other book I've read is, I think, so the thing is, inside of this book, so this is a Swedish translation of a series of a book by Jenny Colgan. It's originally written under another name, Jane something. Like her pseudonym, her other name. So inside of this, it says that the original title is Class, but everywhere I look, the original title is somewhere along the line of the seaside school, or the school on the seaside, number 1. So maybe the title is Class, but the series is called The School by the Seaside. I'm not sure. So this is a series that's been around for, I looked it up, and it's been around from ever since like 2008 or 9, which makes kind of sense. I hope that excuses or explains the content of this book, because I did not like this book. So it gets a 2-star from me. It was an easy read. It was somewhat feel good. It had somewhat the same pacing, the same like initial feeling like the other books, but there were some things that I realized are not for me. So I'm not gonna continue this series, for a few reasons. The first of them are that this is a book about a boarding school, a series about a boarding school. I think the author said in the foreword or the prologue that there are like 6 books in this series, something like that. Or it's gonna be. I don't know how many there are. But this is the first one that's been translated. So now I know I don't want to continue this series. I'm so glad I didn't buy it. I had high hopes. So this is about a boarding school, and it's more accurately, it's about a girls' boarding school. It's in the center of this story. And there is also a boarding school across the hill, or up on the hill, that is for boys. And sometimes in the book they are like mixed events and that sort of thing, and the teachers work together. So there are some scenes in this book, a lot of scenes actually, with one of the male teachers from the boys boarding school on top of the hill, but it's focused on the girls boarding school. That's called Downey House or something like that. Is that, yeah, Downey House. So I figured out quite early on that I am over boarding school books. The author wrote this because she was longing for a book about boarding schools, and she didn't feel like she could find one that suited what she really loved about it and that sort of thing. She wanted to make her own. So just as much as she longed for rewriting this, that's how little I care. I'm sorry, I just don't care. There were some ups, there were some good sides to this book, but the one thing that, so the setting of the book is not for me. I realize that I'm over it. I'm just over it. So that's the main reason I'm not going to continue with the series. The other reason that is also a reason, and it's like 30% of my decision, is the fat phobia in this book. I'm sorry, but it is not okay for a teacher to comment on a student by saying and thinking. So it was the thoughts of the teacher that really jumped out to me, because there was so much fat phobia in this, and what she thought, the words that was written in this book were, she would have been so pretty if she wasn't fat. And then another time it was, oh, if she only lost some weight, she would have been so beautiful because there is a pretty face in there somewhere. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? How can you just... So that's not okay. And it was like a continuing thing all through the book. And in the beginning I was like, okay, so there's some fat phobia. There are some issues with this girl. I was looking forward to it being resolved in some way, like maybe that the issue of fat phobia would be addressed, or because she was bullied for it, but instead of the teachers being mindful about it, or about what they're saying, and taking this as an issue and stopping the girls from bullying this other girl, they were like agreeing that this girl was too fat. And it didn't even sound like she was that big, because in the beginning she is 13, and it says that she needs, when she's gonna buy like a skirt for boarding school, she needs the size of a 16-year-old. That's not a big difference. that difference isn't that big. It's not like she had to go to like a plus size part of the store, and even if she had to do that, it still doesn't warrant the fat phobia in this book. But it's like she was a bit bigger than the other girls, and she had issues with food, and I would have liked for those issues to have been addressed, like in a better way, instead of just because there were comments of, oh, she would have been so pretty if she wasn't fat. She would have been so pretty if she lost weight. Oh, she needs to lose weight. Oh, she's always eating. And at one point, one teacher was considering why the girl sneaked food into her dorm and why she felt like she had to eat, or like she was getting food from home, so her mother would send her food and cookies and cakes and whatever, and she ate them in her room because she felt she had to eat it because her mother sent it. I would have liked for the author and the teachers in this book to take that up with her and be like, so why do you feel like if you don't want this, it could have been a sweater, if the mother had sent a sweater, I would have thought the same thing. If the sweater was an ugly Christmas sweater in August or September, I would have wanted the teachers to address this in the same way, and I would have wanted them to address it like this. Oh, so you don't like this that you are getting from your mom. You don't have to do what she says only because she says it. You don't have to wear the sweater. You don't have to eat the cake just because she baked it for you. You can, and if you don't want to eat it all yourself, it's not allowed in the dorm, so you can take it out into the common room. I don't know the word in English, but the common area, and we can have a party with it. We can have, they could have done something to just let her know that what she wants and feels is okay, and that she doesn't need to be pressured into doing something that she doesn't want to do. In this case, it was cakes. In other cases, in other books, there might be like sweaters or sex or whatever. And they were like, they could have had a quiet conversation about consent, And there were some other instances that was similar, where I would have been like, I was expecting them to take the issue at hand and be like, oh, okay, so why do you feel like that, and what makes you think like that, and what would you like to do instead, and really guide her through it, and also listen to her. But in no scene did they listen to what she felt. They only tried to help her to lose weight. They pushed her to join sports. She wanted to join the sport, yeah, but the immediate comment was from the teacher, if you join this sport, it will help you and you might lose the weight that you, because do you want to lose? So the only time they asked her what she feels was when they asked, because you do want to lose the weight, don't you? And she was like, yeah, I do. Oh, okay, good. Then the sport will probably help you because you will, you will run around so much and whatnot. And I was just so angry. So it was an easy read. Because the language was very easy. I think it's not even YA. I think it's for adults, but I was so angry, and I'm so disappointed. This has been one of my go-to feel-good, literary fiction authors for a couple of years, or 5 or 6 years now. And I'm so disappointed in this book. And I hope it's because it's an older one, because I know I have a lot of books on my shelves by Jenny Colgan that are newer and that doesn't have this. She has a tendency to have female main characters that have a bad self-image, like they are constantly critiquing themselves in their heads, and I do often get a bit sick of them, like, or not sick of them, but annoyed with how much they don't like themselves. But it's always got to do with like how they were treated by an ex, or how they feel, like something they've been through, and those sort of things. So it's always been explained. In this book it was not explained. It might be explained in future books in this series, but I'm not gonna find that out, because I'm not even annoyed. I'm right out angry at this fat phobia in this book, because teachers are not. No. It's not educational whatsoever. I would, if I had a friend with a daughter and she was like, "Oh, I know you love Jenny Colgan. I was thinking about gifting my daughter the one with the school, the boarding school. I think she would enjoy it." I would say no, please don't. So I would not recommend this. I would not recommend this to anyone, but especially not young girls, because this is actually harmful. This is so harmful. So no, I didn't DNF it because it was such an easy read, and I did have hope, because she's an auto-buy for me, or have been. This is it. I had hope up until the very end. I had hope that she was gonna address the issues in a good way, and everything would have been explained and maybe somewhat excused, and they would have. I would have even wanted like the last 10 pages to have like an intervention of everyone that had kind of bullied this poor girl. So I'm sorry, Jenny Colgan. I'm done. You have one other book that I'm gonna read. I think it's something about Under the Pink Sky or something I haven't read yet. I'm gonna try that one, because it doesn't have a boarding school. I'm gonna try that one, but I'm not gonna buy it. So I'm done buying Jenny Colgan books. I'm so disappointed. So, on to something more fun. In my next reading update, I will probably be talking about this book that I'm reading right now. I will finish it today, but there will be probably, it might be up to a week until I make another video, depending on how I am faring after the surgery. And we'll see what I read after this one. I really felt, so this is a crime mystery novel. I would call it a mystery novel. So this is a bit of a mystery novel, and if you want to know my thoughts about it, you can go to my Fable or my Goodreads. I post a review there when I'm done with each book, so if you want to know what I think about this one, it's Avdelning 73 by Sophie Sarenbrant. It's the fourth one in the series, but they are standalone. So yeah, so I'm gonna indulge myself in this for a little bit now. I've earned it, and as soon as I think I'm gonna save these for the first time, guys. I'm gonna be able to do a wrap up in March with all of the books I've read, because I own most of them. So you have that to look forward to. But yeah. So now I'm gonna wrap this up, and I will see you in my next video. So to sum up, 4 stars, 2 stars, and I'm generous. I'm actually, no, I'm gonna give it a 2 star, because, or am I? 1 or 2, because I realize how annoyed I am and angry when I talked about this. I'm even more angry now that it's been a couple of days. So I might even pull it down to 1 star when I review it on Goodreads. We'll see. So, have a lovely time, happy reading, and I will talk to you soon enough. Tjingeling!